everyone, in this video today I'm going to be giving some tips on how to shift your mind and cope in difficult times. So the first thing is challenging negative thoughts. Challenging negative thoughts is sort of like a sort of therapy technique that some people use, but it can really help you dismiss concerns and become more solution focused. So here is an example. Here is the example on challenging negative thoughts. So at the top we are going to put thought/idea. I say idea because sometimes thought can be taken too literally, like everything that goes through your mind. So idea is more of an ingrained perception. So here we go, you put that at the top and then you say challenge it. How do you challenge it? So here we go, you can say why you feel that way, why you have that sort of worry or concern. And then you can say why it may not actually be a bad thing. For example, here it says the latter is something that's actually a beautiful aspect of your personality because it allows you to be unique. And then you could say why something isn't something you need to judge yourself for. So then it says the hyperactivity is part of a condition. And then it can help you really dissolve some shame. Then you can say that if others do perceive you a certain way, if you worry about that, then that's their own problem and not yours. That can help you have some sort of freedom and confidence. Then you may want to relate it to a situation. If you feel that way because of a certain situation, or the thought/idea is from a situation, then you can really say what you've learned from that or why it made you feel that way. It can really help you understand yourself more. And it can also, when you say what you've learned from it or something like that, it can really help you be more solution focused, and that's something that's really important to cultivate. Here we go, there's the solution. Then you dissolve judgment again and have some self-compassion, something like that. And then you say why it may not actually be true again. It's showing here the person may not actually think that. You can identify your thought traps, really. The next thing is to cope through humour. This can actually be really, really helpful because if you don't laugh at yourself, you'll cry. That is a saying, but I think that when you allow yourself to cope through humour, you see that nobody's perfect and that you can embrace your humanness. And as well as this, I know for me, apparently humour really helped cope with my OCD. It can serve as a distraction or just allow you to make light of the situation. This is not the same as self-deprecating humour though, because that can be very unhealthy, but this is more just seeing the bright side of things in a way. As well as this sounds really strange, I know, but memes can allow you to relate to others in a similar situation and distract yourself and just have a bit of a laugh. And I know not everyone sees the point in memes, but sometimes they can help, and this doesn't sound like very professional advice or anything, but sometimes it helps. The next thing is look into online services and also apps. There are a ton of apps in the App Store that can help with self-care and changing thought patterns, and there's like CBT apps and stuff, and I found that really fascinating. So you can definitely look on there to see if there's anything that may help you change your thinking patterns or just feel better about yourself and stuff. That can be really good to look into. Also, local mental health organisations. I did not know until recently how many local organisations there are, so there's probably a lot more support than you think there is. So definitely look in your local area about services that are available, but also large national organizations and stuff can sometimes have services that you can use as well, so that can be really, really helpful. The next thing is look at supportive and empowering quotes online. This can be really, really good because it can help you feel very empowered, worthy, confident, and stuff like that. Looking at quotes, it depends what quotes you look at, but you can look at quotes that are more like reminders, or you can look at quotes that give you motivation, or things that, you know, feel like they give you strength to overcome things. It can be helpful in some circumstances. And also making a quote book, I've spoken about that before as well, but that is something that helps me. So quote book can sometimes be helpful if you write some reminders or your favorite quotes in a little booklet. It can be good. The next thing is write about or just think about how you can grow from the struggle or what you have learnt already from it. This can make it feel like the struggle is more worthwhile, and it can help you sort of see how you do actually evolve. These things can actually help you, even though they can be very, very difficult. The next thing is remind yourself that the little things can have a huge impact. You may not always see this because we often think that it's only the big things that make a big difference, but actually, if you smile at someone when you're out, that could mean the world to them. Or if you, you know, share a post, that post could be what someone really needs to see in that situation. So it could really help them feel less alone. So, you know, that sort of thing, the little things can make a big impact, and you've got to remind yourself of that. You are making a difference, even if you don't feel like you are. The next thing is see things from other people's perspectives, but don't let yourself be mistreated. I couldn't say that. So what I am referring to with this is if you have a miscommunication with a friend or some sort of misunderstanding or a little conflict, then it can really help to be able to see their situation. You can write about how they may be feeling, why they may have a certain perspective that's different from yours, and it can really help with forgiveness as well. But of course, this doesn't really apply to every situation, because there are unfortunately some situations where people get mistreated, and in that sense it helps more to see that this is actually a really bad situation and empower yourself enough to get out of it. But in terms of a, you know, a friendship conflict or something, then seeing their perspective can really, really help. So this is the example for seeing others' perspectives. At the top, you can say what the situation is that happened, where you maybe felt upset towards someone else and why. And then under that, you can say why they may have a certain perspective. And it can help you be more understanding and see from their perspective rather than just having your own view, because it can be really helpful to see things from other people's perspectives, as that can also prevent you from getting into arguments. So you can say that they have different life experience, you can't change their views, you can be understanding towards their own actions if you feel that they've done something inappropriate. And, you know, validate their feelings. And all of this just really helps you be understanding and more open-minded, and can prevent conflict and can allow you to forgive others as well for certain things that are needed to be forgiven. The next thing is boundaries. I talk about this a lot as well, but boundaries are really important because although you may feel guilty for setting boundaries, you really don't need to. If you do feel guilty, that's okay, but don't let it control you, because setting boundaries is actually really important, because you do not have to do everything for everyone. You do not have to socialize all the time. You do not have to do stuff that you don't feel comfortable with. Your boundaries are really, really important, and they are how you really care for yourself. So, you know, take time for yourself. Tell people that you don't feel comfortable with something, or that you'll do something at another time and stuff like that, because that is really, really important. Keep your boundaries. Do not let yourself be used. Next thing is write a list of things that you judge or have judged yourself for, and then, you know, challenge that. Say why the judgment is unnecessary, untrue, and unhelpful, and stuff like that. That can be really, really helpful. The next thing is ask for help when you need it. This is something that a lot of people say, but it is important, because if you're someone who doesn't really like to talk to others about how you're feeling, it can be really helpful to actually do that. But of course, ask first, because if someone else is going through a difficult time and you vent at them, it can be quite difficult. But ask if someone is able to listen, and if they are, then talk about how you feel, but make it more of a casual thing. It would be great if we lived in a world where talking about this sort of thing was just normal, rather than perceived as a big thing which makes people afraid of it. But yes, talk about how you feel and stuff. Yeah, at the same time, well, first of all, it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. That's like what was that, Brene Brown, what she always says. But definitely talk about how you feel. However, bear in mind that if you are an overly dependent person who always seeks others to help you feel better and validate your worth and stuff, sometimes that isn't always healthy. So if you are an overly dependent person, like myself, then I would say that try and self-soothe. Try and do maybe other things on here to help yourself feel better and validate yourself. Maybe do activities that show yourself that you care for yourself, and try to prevent yourself from seeking validation from others, and see if you can comfort yourself rather than always trying to get them from other people. But of course, if it is something serious, then definitely talk to someone about it. The next thing is take the pressure off of yourself when you're struggling. If you're holding yourself to really high standards, or you have this mental idea that you have to do this specific thing when really there's nothing forcing you to do it, then take the pressure off of yourself, because your well-being is more important. If something's stressing you too much and you can say no to it, then say no. If something is upsetting you or making you dread it, then put it to the side for a while and do something that is, gives you more feelings of joy. And also rest when you need to. That's really important. The next thing may sound a bit cheesy, I guess, but compliment yourself in the mirror. This could be on your sort of characteristics. Maybe you're really kind and empathetic, or maybe it's on your physical appearance. You might say that you have really nice eyes or something. This can help if you lack confidence, and over time it might help you feel a bit more confidence and raise your self-esteem a little bit. The next thing is something that can sometimes help with worries and anxious thoughts. Sometimes when you're worrying or have anxious thoughts, if you try and resist and say, no, that won't happen, it doesn't always help. And although it's true that the majority of things you worry about don't happen, I think that sometimes your mind just won't leave you alone, no matter how many times you say that's ridiculous, because it's the uncertainty. So in that circumstance, I would say that sometimes it helps to write about why it wouldn't actually be that bad if your worry or fear came true. Now, sometimes this can be really difficult, because of course some worries and fears are quite strong, quite extreme. However, if it's something like you worry that someone will get ill, you could write about how if they did, they could recover and they could get the treatment they need and stuff like that. If you worry that something won't happen that you want to happen, that's a sort of sense of control that you feel that you need. That's normal. You don't judge yourself for that. But if you do have that and it's causing you a lot of stress because you feel like you have to control something, then I find that it can let things go if you write about why it wouldn't actually be that bad if it didn't happen. For example, you could write about how maybe there's other things to look forward to and stuff like that. That can be helpful sometimes. Next thing is go online and learn from other people's experiences. Maybe read some blog posts, watch some YouTube videos. I mean, you're watching a YouTube video now, of course, but those sorts of things. Just learn from others, because when you relate to others, it can feel really good, because you're not alone, and you know that what you're experiencing isn't quote unquote weird. It's something that a lot of people go through, so that can be really helpful. And you can also learn from others' experiences as well, and do things that help you by doing what they've done and stuff like that. But again, different things work for different people. Next thing is to question whether you are projecting thoughts and feelings onto others. For example, if you are feeling quite hostile towards someone for no reason, then ask yourself, are you actually feeling bad about yourself, but you don't want to admit that, so you're putting it onto someone else? Sometimes you are, and then you can work on building your sense of self-worth and making yourself feel a bit better and being more understanding towards others as well. But sometimes as well, you may project thoughts onto others by assuming that they are thinking something about you when they are not. Because you might feel that someone's judging you. Maybe you feel like someone's disappointed in you or whatever, but actually it may be that you're feeling that way about yourself, because when you feel that others judging you, you're sometimes judging yourself. So just bear that in mind, and then you can use the challenging thoughts technique to address that as well. Treat yourself to something nice. There's this quote I saw, I think a lot of people have seen it, about how every day is a special occasion, and that's true, because you're always worthy of nice things. So maybe eat your favourite food, have a drink you like, or maybe read your favourite book or listen to music or something like that, because that can really help you feel a bit better and show that you know your worth, you are worthy of nice things. That can be really good as well. The next thing is journaling. Journaling can be very helpful. It can help you release your thoughts and learn more about yourself. There are different forms of journaling. The first one is with a prompt. You either finish the prompt or just write about a certain topic, but some people may feel that that is too constricting. So in those situations, it can be really helpful to do a stream of consciousness, because a stream of consciousness doesn't need to make total sense. It doesn't need to be spelt right. It doesn't need a lot of effort put into it. You can just do it. Just write whatever comes to your head, and that can really serve, as I said, as a release. It helps you vent, really. So that can be really, really good. And it can be really about anything. And once you kind of vent that on paper or on a laptop if you're typing, then it can stop it going around in your mind. I find for me that typing it actually helps a lot more, because writing would probably make stuff a lot worse, because my writing is terrible and it's very uncomfortable to write with my hand. So typing can really work for some people who have difficulty with handwriting and stuff. The next thing is, don't force yourself to do things. This kind of goes back on another point, but if you are holding yourself to really high standards, you feel like you have to do something, but you are avoiding the demand, or you are dreading it to the point where it's impacting your well-being, then definitely don't force yourself to do something. Do something else until you feel that the demand's been lifted, and then it might be easier to do another thing. This applies more to people with autism and ADHD, I think. The next thing is a self-compassion letter. I've spoken about this in other videos. I go on about it quite a bit. I love self-compassion, but this can really help you accept your humanness. And although I would say try not to write a self-compassionate letter when you are frustrated at yourself, because it's probably not going to end well. But in a time when you're feeling quite nurturing, maybe, or you don't feel angry or anything, or you don't feel too much self-hatred, it can help, because you kind of write to your mind, or maybe pretend that the letter is addressed from a friend or a guardian angel or a family member or something like that, and then write nice things to yourself. I will show an example in a moment, but that can actually be really helpful to get that sort of outside perspective and change your thinking patterns as well. So I will show an example of that as well. Here is the example of the compassionate letter to yourself. So of course you address it to yourself, and then you can say that it's understandable that you're struggling or something like that, because you want to validate how you feel first of all. Validation is really, really important. Make sure it's understanding and non-judgmental towards yourself. Help it make yourself feel good, because you're allowed to feel good about yourself. And then you can remind yourself to do things that allow you to feel a bit better, and remind yourself to take care of yourself. Add some little reminders as if it's coming from a wise part of yourself, because it is. Address worries through it, through a loving lens rather than a judgmental lens. There we go. Add some reminders. Just make it so that it completely validates you. It's truly loving, not frustrated, judgmental or angry towards you, not critical, as if it's coming from a higher source, even though you are the higher source. It's coming from. The next thing, I'm just reminding you to accept how you feel, because if you resist the feeling you feel, it ends up getting worse. Because if you have the mindset that I should be happy or I shouldn't be feeling how I'm feeling, that makes it a lot worse because it makes you feel bad about yourself. You don't need to judge yourself for how you're feeling. So you can just be there with the feeling. It's a sensation. It will pass, and I think that it can be difficult at times, but there's really nothing wrong with feeling how you feel at all. And the resistance can cause more struggle. So once you let yourself feel the way you feel, it's okay. It gets a lot easier. Next thing I wrote down, I did write like a little plan for this. But the next thing I wrote down is meditate. Now, a lot of people say meditation can really help with anxiety, and you know, if it helps you, then that's great, because it can kind of give you a break from your mind and make you feel calm, especially if you do the deep breathing. It's almost as if it resets your nervous system. However, I understand that this does not work for everyone. Some people, the self-critical thoughts get louder if you try and meditate. For some people, the intrusive thoughts can make it difficult to meditate. For some people, hyperactivity can make it virtually impossible to meditate. So of course this isn't for everyone, but for some people it can be really helpful. There are different forms of meditations. Some people may find guided meditations more helpful because they allow you to be creative rather than just being in your mind. Some people may get frustrated that they can't stop their thoughts, although meditation, you're not supposed to stop your thoughts, you're just supposed to observe them, but still that can be really, really difficult to just observe them. So I would say that guided meditations can be a better option for some people, and if you also find that difficult, maybe due to mental OCD compulsions, then try another method, because this isn't for everyone, but for some people it can really help with anxiety and stuff. Thing is to remind yourself that fun is a really important aspect of life and that you are allowed to have fun. Go and do a fun activity, run outside, go dance in the rain or something, you know, just do something fun, because in society we feel like once you reach adulthood you have to be serious and productive and work all the time, and that is incredibly dull and very boring, if I'm being completely honest. So, you know, remind yourself that fun is an important part of life. Of course, you know, you want to work on stuff, you want to be serious when you have to, but you don't have to be like that all the time. So definitely remind yourself that we are allowed to play, we're allowed to have fun. Next thing is to see how your imperfections can actually be a beautiful thing. This sounds very cliche, but it's true, because what you perceive as your imperfections may actually be something that gives you a lot of depth, a lot of rawness. It may help you be less judgmental to others. It may give you a lot of understanding. It may allow you to express yourself creatively and stuff like that. So what you deem as an imperfection may actually be a great asset. So definitely try and change your perspective on what you perceive as your imperfections. That can really help as well. The next thing is to write a gratitude list. Now, this can be helpful to help you see positives in things, in the sense that even though things may be difficult for you, you still have things that are going well for you. Gratitude lists can be really helpful for this sort of thing. However, sometimes they can make people feel guilty for feeling sad, and you know, that's never the intention. You do not need to feel guilty for feeling sad or for seeing that there are struggles you're facing. But a gratitude list can help you see that it isn't all bad, even though sometimes your mind may trick you and make you feel that way. But a gratitude list can, you know, make you see that even the little things can be something to be grateful for. So that can be really helpful. But remember that if it is something that's making you just feel more guilty, then you don't need to do this. But for some people, it can be really good for having a more positive perspective. So here is an example. So in your gratitude list, you can put lots of different things, no matter how big or small. It could be things like you can listen to nice music, it could be your pets, it could be even things that happened in the past that you're grateful that they happened, or maybe even things in the future that you are grateful for the opportunity to do. It could be things like sunlight and nature, it could be the people in your life, or opportunities that you have, or things that you've done, or things that you partake in, like hobbies that you're grateful to be able to do. It could be your health, it could be that you are better than you used to be. It could be that you are not suffering with something that other people do. Is to go out in nature. Being in nature, I mean, I sound like a hippie, but I go on about this a lot. It can be really, really calming, and, you know, being near trees and greenery can just be really calming. It used to give relief from my intrusive thoughts. Being under the sun can be really relaxing, and the brightness of the sun is just something that can bring you joy, and it also allows you to get vitamin D, which vitamin D deficiency is associated with depression, so I mean, it can help in the long run as well. But even maybe even if you want to go out in the evening and gaze at the stars, it can be really relaxing and give you some time away from the hustle and bustle of life, really. So that can be really good for some people. The next thing is list your strengths or things that you're proud of. So, you know, everybody has strengths. So maybe you are really resilient. Maybe you are really good at overcoming things. Maybe you are very good at adapting to things. Maybe you are really good at reading. Maybe you are really good at music, something like that. And list things that you're proud of that you've done. It doesn't have to be achievements, because sometimes if you list too many achievements, it just gives you like a unhealthy ego boost. But if you are proud of yourself for something, then let yourself feel that for a bit, because you're allowed to be proud of yourself, as long as it doesn't turn you arrogant, of course. But be proud of yourself. It's all right. Be proud of what you've overcome. Be proud of what you've achieved that you didn't once feel was possible. Is write a forgiveness letter to yourself. Now, this is very, very similar to the compassionate letter to yourself, but if there is something that you are dwelling on, maybe an old mistake you made or even a current one, and you feel really bad for it, sometimes our minds put it out of proportion. A small mistake can make us feel like it's a big one, but actually writing a forgiveness letter to yourself can, again, aid in self-compassion and allow you to let go of the blame that you may hold towards yourself and stop you from dwelling on those things. The next thing is have some reminders that you can read out to yourself when things get particularly difficult. This can be in a quote book, or it could be just maybe on your phone, like maybe a few pointers. This is my pen, by the way. I'm just fidgeting with it. It can be a few pointers that you just repeat to yourself to remind yourself that things do get better and it won't be like this forever. The next thing is acknowledge that you are still growing and there is no need to be perfect. You are still growing. We are always growing, no matter how old you are. We are always evolving. We never needed to be perfect. We never need to be the same as others. We never need to be on the same level as others, that we may feel that they're on a different level, but we're actually all equal. But you don't need to be a certain way. You don't need to know everything yet. You're still learning. You're human. You are in this realm that I like spiritual stuff, to learn things, and it doesn't matter if you make mistakes and get stuff wrong. You're still learning all the time, and you can be gentle with yourself in that sense. Is cuddle your pet if you have one. This can be really calming. I have a cat, well, I have 7 cats, but one of my cats called Dolly. When I cuddle her, she purrs and she's so cuddly. She likes to cuddle in and everything. I will insert a video shortly, but it's amazing because when she purrs and cuddles you, it just feels very nice, and that can really help if you're feeling down. If you have a pet, of course not everyone has a pet, but if you do, then that can be a really good thing to do as well. The next thing is do something to make you feel comfortable. Maybe get some blankets, wrap yourself up in it, like hug yourself, maybe. I mean, just do something that soothes you. It can be very soothing to get a blanket, or maybe just sit down and read a book, have dim lighting. Like I have a Himalayan salt lamp. It's actually broken now because I tried to use it as a weight lift. But dim lighting, just create a soothing environment for yourself, maybe after a busy day, because you need something to be able to calm you down and calm down your nervous system. That can really, really help as well, and help you feel calm and a lot less anxious, a lot less stressed, a lot less pressured. The next thing is, if you're feeling really unmotivated, or you're struggling to believe in yourself, or you're stressing about time management, visualize yourself achieving your goals. It can really help you feel more motivated and optimistic. If you visualize yourself achieving something, you visualize yourself getting something done, you see what the good outcome can be, that can just make you believe in yourself a bit more and really motivate yourself. So that may be an option for some people. Let yourself cry. Some people have a lot of shame around crying, but repressing it and holding it in only serves to make bigger problems. So it is actually a release, and it can be calming. It can literally release your emotions and make you feel calmer and soothed. So it is really important sometimes. If you're feeling really stressed, then maybe you actually just need to cry. Next thing is, this is a difficult one, but remind yourself that you can get out of a cycle. When you're in a cycle and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, or making the same so-called mistake over and over again, you can feel like there's no way for you to get out of the cycle. But remember that you've already overcome so much and you've already evolved so much. It may happen naturally. Sometimes you try and force yourself to get out of a cycle and it doesn't work, but be patient with yourself. getting out of a so-called negative cycle can take time, and you know, you have to have a lot of patience with yourself. So just do the best you can, and remind yourself that you will get out of this cycle at some point. Is honour your solitude. If you've been socialising so much that it's leading to burnout, this is very common for autistic people. We have a low social battery, but you know, if you've been socialising too much and you need some time for yourself, you're angry because you don't have enough time to do what you feel like you want to do, and you need some time in solitude, embrace your solitude and say to people, I'm not meeting up right now, I am spending time for myself, because that is completely okay. Being an introvert is okay. It gives you time to research, gives you time to do stuff you're passionate about, gives you time to create things, so that can be really helpful as well. But again, this can go the other way. If you're someone who, you know, you're feeling down and you feel really unmotivated to talk to people, I know it can feel better to actually stay away from people in that situation, and it's okay sometimes, but actually you can find that you feel a lot more joyous when you're actually with others and socializing. So even though it may feel like a huge effort and you don't want to, and stuff like that, I know I do avoid social situations sometimes because of that sort of thing, but it can actually really help if you kind of get yourself out there and say, all right, just for today, I'm going to see someone, even though I haven't really seen someone in ages. Sometimes it can actually help you feel more joyous and connected to others, and sometimes that is what you need, even though it's something that you feel is going to take more effort than usual, or you're usually best when you're accompanied. You can get yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, if you're feeling down, and realise that actually being with friends is more helpful than just sitting there being sad, really. So yes, these are some tips on what to do on difficult days or when going through difficult times. Hopefully this can help you shift your mindset, but remember that shifting your mindset isn't because you're doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong by having so-called negative thoughts or feeling down or anything. You're not doing anything wrong. It's these things are to help you feel better because you are worthy of feeling better, not to say you're doing anything wrong because you're not, but you deserve to feel better, you know. And this can make life easier for you, maybe some of these things, or maybe you have your own coping strategies and things like that. So I really hope that this video has helped, and I also hope you liked the little examples that I put in. Thanks for watching. Bye!